Joining us now are Rachel Goldberg Polin and John Polin. Their Israeli-American son, as you know, Hirsch, was abducted by Hamas on October 7th while attending a Supernova music festival. On Monday, Rachel and John met with the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, in Washington, D.C., and they will meet Netanyahu again tomorrow, along with President Biden. And Rachel and John, thank you so much for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Rachel, are you feeling the Israeli government is doing everything that needs to be done to get your son home?
Well, I definitely don't, because it is 292 days and these 120 cherished human beings are still being held in brutal conditions in captivity. And you know, we had this opportunity to speak to Prime Minister Netanyahu on Monday evening. And one of the things that we've been saying that just strikes us is if you had a hospital and you had the chief medical officer of the hospital walk in and see that in the emergency room there were 120 people lying on the floor, many of them already dead, but many of them able to be saved. And that chief medical officer said, you know what? I'm going to go fly to another country and make a speech about CPR. Now, CPR is an important topic, but before even leaving the hospital or triaging any of these people, he also turns to the staff and says, and don't touch them for the next 4 days until Thursday.
Right.
These messages are just devastating for us families.
There's so many questions that I think that especially the families of the hostages, Israeli citizens deserve, John, answers to. One of the reasons why there are still so many hostages is because of the response time to October 7th. Have you heard any explanation as to why it took so long? And what are you hoping, John, to hear from the Prime Minister when he addresses Congress?
So Rachel's analogy was spot on, and I really appreciated yesterday in a meeting on the Hill with leader Hakeem Jeffries. He basically went to the words of Martin Luther King and said, what I'm hearing is you need the fierce urgency of now. And we all said, that's it. That is what's been missing. I think Prime Minister Netanyahu is really looking to get this deal done. I think he understands that he needs this deal to get done for the people of Israel to be able to begin to move forward from what happened on October 7th. He needs this deal to cement his legacy. He can't be the guy who oversaw October 7th and didn't bring home the hostages. He needs to be the guy who oversaw October 7th and then did bring home the hostages. But we need him to do that now, today. Regarding October 7th, the beginnings of findings are being reported. Kibbutz Be'eri, which was hit super hard on that day, had initial findings that were published. I think the members of the kibbutz are not happy with the details of the report. It's going to take a long time to figure out the mistakes that happened leading up to and on October 7th. But again, the first step is let's bring home the hostages. Then we'll get to the work of figuring out how do we make sure that the mistakes that happened can never be repeated.
Rachel, John just mentioned the urgency of now. He mentioned this 292 days after your son and the other hostages were taken. That's an eternity of time. It's unimaginable to anyone with children or loved ones who would be in such a situation. So my question to you is, across those 292 days, have you ever received a definitive answer to the question of what happened and why aren't the hostages been released? What is going on with the negotiations? Why not now? Have you ever received a successful answer in either Tel Aviv or in Washington to that question?
Well, we have had a crash course in the way that geopolitics work, unfortunately, and we understand that there are interests and equities that every single party has. Now, our interest in equity is a very simple one. He's a beautiful boy named Hirsch, and the hostage families have 119 other Hirsches. Every family has a beautiful loved one who they're waiting for. And I think that when things become political, it's not necessarily everyone's first priority to get home loved ones and cherished human beings. Sometimes there are things that are more political and that are considered bigger, more tricky, more intricate interests and equities. And I think that we are not privy to that. I think that the leaders and the people in power and with influence are not going to share that with the families of the hostages. And so we haven't had definitive answers. We have sometimes people saying that this is simply a political question of is someone afraid of doing something that might topple a fragile coalition? I don't know, because again, I'm not an expert in these areas, but it is too long. It's absolutely unacceptable. And I think it's at the point where it's completely shameful. And there are other bigger issues and topics in the region. And you have hundreds of thousands of people. You know, for just a moment, we talk obviously about Hirsch and the hostages a lot because that is what keeps us literally up every single night for almost 300 days. But there are hundreds of thousands of Gazan civilians who are in the crosshairs as well, who are innocent. And so you have an entire region suffering excruciatingly. And it is time to release the pressure valve. And the way to do that is with this deal. We know from the north, Hezbollah has made it very clear that their attacking of the north is in allegiance with Hamas and what is happening in Gaza, and that will stop also with this deal. We know that the Houthis are also being aggressive because of what is happening. This is a surefire way to deflate so much of the tension and agony that the entire region is suffering.
And the emergency room analogy, Rachel, that you made is really hits home. Rachel Goldberg-Polin and John Polin, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you very much. We are hoping for good news today.
Praying for your son. Thank you.
Thank you.